Hello, everyone. It's time for a new Rambling About Cars, and you will notice there's a different co host this week. Frequent listeners will know Chris Smith is on a much needed vacation. I don't even know where he went. I know he rented a car and took the family somewhere, and that's all I know. He could be anywhere in the United States right now. So he is on vacation, but I am so happy to have Motor One senior editor Brett T. Evans with me. He's been a guest on the show before. He's always welcome. He's a fantastic guy to talk to. So, hi.
I'm thinking about changing my name to Chris for the next 48 hours until he gets back. What do you think?
I mean, you don't have to. We can survive with one Chris. I just want to go through some comments here real quick before the show started. Our buddy Ted Adam Green said, "Let's get ready to ramble." Our buddy Grupa FBC, Brett, you might not know this. Grupa FBC is in Australia, so it is the morning for him. And then also, morning, Chris and Brett. Hope Smith is having a great trip. Same here. I actually hope when he gets back to find out where he went, because all I know is he rented a car and went somewhere with his wife and family. So that's all I got.
He sent us a picture of his hotel room, and it has an actual, not like a cordless telephone, like one of those old telephones that you carried around by the cradle and you talk to on the handle. And so he's apparently staying in the year 1992.
Evidently.
Good for him.
Brett, usually before we start the show, we kind of talk a little bit just to let people kind of shuffle in. So have you been doing anything cool car-wise recently? Driving anything fun? Going anywhere fun? Just what's your car story for the past week?
I just got out of the GR Corolla Morizo edition, which was pretty hilarious. That was just like a bonkers, really bonkers machine. And it kind of threw me into like a identity crisis is the wrong word, but something like that, because I just kept on arguing with myself all weekend long about whether I'd rather have that or a Civic Type R, because it was just really freaking fun. So there's a video coming to the Motor One YouTube channel soon, where our video producer Kyle and I took it out to the same canyon roads that I drove the Lotus Emira on, and he was like, turned to me and he's like, "I hope you don't think I'm weird for saying this, but this feels a lot like the Emira." And I was like, I kind of agree. Somehow Toyota has managed to make this subcompact or this compact hot hatch feel like a mid-engine sports car, just because it's got so much grip. So that was really fun. Really excited for people to watch that video if they are so inclined. Otherwise, life's pretty good automotively. How about for yourself? What's going on with you?
Doing pretty good. What you just were talking about, it raises a question, because it's something Smith and I have talked about on the show. For right now, for as long as we know, the Morizo is a 1 year only edition, where you get the extra torque and, the other goodies. Do you think they'll end up bringing it back? Because to me, it seems weird that, okay, you've already done the engine development to create a torquier version of this 1.6 liter 3-cylinder, and then you take it away the next year. What do you think? Do you think we'll see Morizo or something with that torquier engine again?
I think so. I think they'll probably maybe they'll apply some greater differentiation between the core and the circuit models. Right now, those are largely the same, except the circuit has a forged carbon fiber roof, which the Morizo also got. So I think they'll make the circuit, circuit is also a 1 year only special edition, but I promise you
they confirmed it. It's coming back next year. We found that out.
There we go.
Yeah. Circuit comes back, but not Morizo.
So I kind of suspect that maybe they'll maybe make a performance package optional on the circuit that gives it that torquier engine. I don't know if the rear seat delete kit is going to go away, or the added bracing and stuff like that, if that's going to make a return. But you're right. I feel like if they've done the development to make that engine, 295 foot-pounds out of 1.6 liters and 3 cylinders, that's pretty impressive. If they're going to put in the development effort to make that happen, they'll probably spread it around a little bit.
I hope so. But yeah, my all good stuff on my end car-wise. As people can tell, I am in a slightly different area than where I usually record. I am literally huddled next to a lamp because the room I'm in has really poor lighting. And if I lean over, you can see there's a dog on the bed behind me.
Hey.
So, but oh yeah, and they're the same color too. It's twinsies.
They're matching. Yeah, look at you. You got a friend over there in Ohio, Bill.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, good. Had a really nice road trip yesterday getting up here. Took I take a lot of back roads and stuff. So it was listening to an audio book about cryptids and just hanging out, and it was nice. So yeah.
What were you driving?
My wife's 2023 Subaru Outback.
Okay, cool. Nice comfy ride.
It is, yeah. So it's the highest one that they make. So it's got the really nice leather and the ventilated seats and all that stuff. And I have to say, it is an incredibly comfortable car to drive. It's very nice to drive. It's not a performance car. Like it's okay, quick in a straight line, but it's not like a corner carver or anything like that. But if you're just cruising down the road, it does that really well.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I have nothing against a big, comfortable car that just cruises down the road very easily. So yeah, I feel you.
All right. Before we get started, I'm going to say, Ted Adam Green, I'm not going to put your comment up, but all I can say is no comment right now. That's all I can say.
Yep. Still waiting on official confirmation for whatever that cryptic announcement is going to be. So we'll just
Speaking of cryptids, this is a cryptid. Yeah. This is the automotive cryptid.
Yeah, we're just going to press on and wait for Ford to tell us what they're doing.
Exactly. But let's go ahead and get started. So we have some interesting, we're at a really interesting time in the automotive year because, Monterey Car Week is technically happening right now, but it really kicks off tomorrow. So Thursday for anyone listening later on. So we've got some confirmation of stuff that is going to be there. And we've got some teasers of stuff. So we're in this kind of interesting time. And then it turns out Fisker last week, after we recorded the show, they announced some interesting stuff. So kind of a interesting mix of stuff tonight. So we're going to kick it off with a vehicle that just debuted today, and this is the Zenvo Aurora. It is a hybrid hypercar, and sorry, I'm stumbling over my words as I get the gallery up. It's coming in two versions. There's the Agile, as you can see here. You can identify that because of the big wing on the back. And there's the Tour, T-U-R, and that one has no wing. And as kind of their name suggests, the Agile is the more track-focused version. The Tour is the grand touring version. Big headline here, the Tour, it has 3 electric motors and a 6.6-liter quad-turbo V12. And that lets it make 1,850 horsepower. The Agile doesn't have the electric motors on the front axle, so it makes a little bit less horsepower. And by a little bit less, I mean 1,450 horsepower. So I don't. And it is more the track-focused version. Brett, before I get into any more specs, do you have any thoughts about this thing?
What headline grabbing numbers they're producing with this car. It's just insane. And it's kind of interesting because for some reason in my head, for the last couple years, Zenvo has just kind of always occupied this like also ran space in the hypercar. It's also ran status in the hypercar space. It's like, sure, there's got Bugattis and Paganis and stuff like that, and then here comes this Danish supercar company. What are they going to do? But today I was actually going back and like reading through on their old cars, like the TSR and some of their other stuff. And I have been underselling that brand in my head way too much. And this is just further proof of it. This is just such an interesting, cool looking car that is crazy. Just those specs are insane. So yeah, I'm excited.
And speaking of those specs, so the Agile, it gets to 62 in 2.5 seconds, and it has a top speed of 227 miles per hour. It also, Zenvo is very proud about saying this, it's their lightest vehicle ever. It weighs 2,866 pounds, which is
insane,
really lightweight, especially when you consider it's a hybrid. It's got a V12 engine. Like, that's an obscenely low weight for a vehicle with that much power. The Tour, because it has those extra motors at the front, it weighs, oh no, it's so fat, 3,197 pounds. But with the extra motors, it's also both quicker and faster. So that with that 1,850 horsepower, it'll get to 62 in 2.3 seconds, so 0.2 quicker, and a top speed of 280 miles per hour. And I should mention before we get into anything, the front electric motors will be an option for the Agile, although they haven't told us what that's going to cost. But the Agile's base price is 2.59 million euros, and current exchange rates, that's $2.83 million. So don't expect to see a lot of these.
I just am really, really stoked at this, like, that we have more options. Not that, like, the hyper rich need more ways to spend their money, but it is just cool to see, something that's not a Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bugatti, Pagani, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, this is just a cool Danish supercar brand. And I'm excited to see it.
I will call them out on one thing, and that's their photos. And they're clearly very professionally done,
Yeah.
really good photos. But in the press release, and they really tout this, is that the designer says, I'll give you his name. In fact, his name is Christian Brandt. The chassis and components of the Aurora are all works of art, and we made a very definite decision that we did not want to hide these details away under a monolithic design. And what he means by that is that 70% of the carbon monocoque is exposed when you're looking at the vehicle. Portions of the front and rear subframes are exposed, and bits and pieces of the front pushrod suspension and rear double wishbones are exposed. And I can't see any of that in the photos.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that they're debuting it, and, like, of course, it's called the Aurora, so they're going to debut it under a, like, supposed Northern Light sky. But it is kind of funny that they're not letting us see as much. You can kind of see on the side profile the doors very clearly, like, that's monocoque showing through. That's not the the exposed carbon bodywork. That's actually the car's substructure, which is cool. But yeah, other than that, it's kind of funny. There was an image, I think it's coming up in a slide or two, of the you can see the front inboard mounted shocks. You can see them through, like, the fender cut, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to see this thing in the flesh and actually, like, get up close and personal.
Yeah, I think this is a vehicle that you really have to see to kind of understand, because, again, it looks interesting in the photos, but you don't get that idea that it's kind of almost like a skeleton, that you get to see all of these bits and pieces of the car. Here's where you're talking about, where you can see a little bit of the
that's cool.
inboard suspension. Yeah.
Well, and you can also tell that, like, there's a lot of aero work that's gone into this thing. You can see there are spots where the air will flow underneath the bodywork and then exit the car out the rear or out the sides or something like that. And that's something that you really do need to, like, get up close and see. I saw the Lotus Evija for the first time, like, in person. There wasn't, like, a rope between me and the car or anything like that a couple of weeks ago. And that's another car where the aero is so important to the experience. And that was really cool to finally actually see that in person. So, and I suspect this is going to be something similar. But like you said, at $2.8 million, opportunities to see one in person probably aren't going to be super common.
No. And also, they are making, let me double check my numbers here. They're making 50 of each trim. So there will be 50 Agiles and 50 Tours. And production begins, we confirmed this actually with them because there was some weird wording in the press release. Production begins in 2026. So not only will you not see them on the road, very many on the road, you have to wait a little bit to see them on the
road. Sign me up.
Yeah, I would love to drive one. Hypercars are always kind of hit or miss for me because I forget some automotive designer within the past 5 years basically said it's much harder to design an inexpensive, like, car that gets driven every day than it is to design a hypercar. Because with something like this, the money doesn't matter. Like, there's going to be someone out there that's going to have $2.8 million and they're going to buy this. And so as a designer, you kind of, the sky's the limit. Whereas the guy that's designing the Honda Accord has to deal with a lot more, limits in what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, at this, with what the company's going to be making on these cars, the amortization limits are just so much higher. Like, they spent so much more developing this vehicle than like the per car cost is just going to be way lower because they're charging so much for it. So
Sure.
yeah, it is just going to be. I agree. I kind of think that hypercars are a lot about bragging rights and not so much about actual, Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but nevertheless, I'm still going to turn and look whenever I see one passing me on the street.
Of course. Yes, yeah, exactly. But I think that kind of covers it for the Zenvo. Let's move to still an expensive car, certainly, but also a tenth of the price of the other one. And that is the new Fisker Ronin. And this is a car I initially didn't like. And the more I read about it and the more I write about it and look at it, the more interested I'm in. So essentially, this is the way I feel about it. If you disagree, feel free to push back. Fisker is essentially going after something like a Mercedes-Benz SL or a Bentley Continental GT convertible, or something, a Grand Tour that still fits 4 people and has a convertible top, because that's exactly what this is. Technically, this will seat 5 people because the rear is a bench. I want to see that photo of 5 people fitting in this. I kind of don't believe it, but it's a 4-person super luxury Grand Touring electric car. And it makes 1,000 horsepower. And Fisker's claiming it'll have a 600-mile range, which is wild. And yeah, 1,000 horsepower. They're claiming it'll reach 60 in roughly 2 seconds. However, these are all claims for now because it doesn't go on sale until, I believe it's also 2026. But let me confirm that before I go too far. I cannot find it now. It is not on sale yet. I can certainly say that. For some reason, I thought I also saw 2026. But yeah, it's just kind of neat, though. Big Grand Tour, not a bunch of people, but carry 4 people in comfort with a bunch of speed. And then as we're looking at the photos, you can see it has a folding hard top rather than a soft top, like a lot of the Germans, and a vehicle we're going to talk about in a minute. So it has very kind of coupe-like proportions. I'm going to skip to this image. You look at that and it doesn't immediately look like a convertible. So yeah. But what's your take?
It looks like there's a little half door there too to ease access, which is kind of cool. Like I know, the Mazda RX-8 and some other, sports coupes have tried that before, and it's a great idea. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. I like it. I think it's really cool. I think it looks better with the top down than with the top up. But, overall, I think it's a pretty appealing car. And I also really like, in this view especially, you can see on that front grille, the link to the Fisker Ocean. It's kind of cool that they were able to draw parallels between family-sized sport utility vehicle and a $385,000, Grand Touring convertible. That's just kind of fun to me. Definitely goes back to Henrik Fisker's, roots as a car designer. Like that's what he became famous for, was designing some of those beautiful cars in the world. So it's kind of cool to see that. Especially during his era. I mean,
he did what? BMW Z8. He did the DB9, right?
I think he did the DB9. Just some of the most beautiful cars in history, and it's kind of cool to see him come back and do this EV thing. The one thing I'm curious about though is they've announced the Fisker Ronin as well as a few other other automobiles before they've put the Ocean onto the road yet, in public, like in customers' hands. So I'm kind of curious about that. I'm curious to see, is this going to be more vaporware or is it going to be a fully fledged automobile company? I hope it's the latter, because I think they're really cool.
I agree entirely. I was writing about cars at the very, very, very tail end of Karma, and whether it was the Fisker Karma and then it became Karma Automobiles. You always take that little grain of salt whenever you're kind of talking about this stuff, because it's kind of once bitten, twice shy. But I do want to call out our comments here. Brett, I don't know. Have you seen the movie Ronin, the John Frankenheimer?
Yeah.
Okay. So We got a really good discussion here. Group FBC, I can't help but link Ronin with Audi S8s and Mercedes-Benz 6.9s. And then Eric Deffer says De Niro's last great movie. He might have arguable, but maybe. And then we're quoting the movie. What's the color of the boathouse at Hereford? And then this one's for you. Group of FBC. Oh, come on, Brett. Don't be a cynic. This is way ahead of EV startups, but then with tongue out emoji.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. If they announce it, it must be true. So I do get to eat some crow, though, because I was kind of a skeptic on Faraday Future for a really long time, and they've actually just delivered a car to customers' hands.
They've delivered one.
But still,
you're right. They delivered one. You could put that. You could either joke about it and say, "Oh, they delivered one," or you could say they finally delivered one. Fair point. Fair point. I take that.
A Lazarus of EV startups, because I thought they were dead 4 years ago, and all of a sudden here they are delivering one $300,000 EV minivan. So there's hope. There's hope for anyone. If Faraday Future can do it, anyone can.
Sure. And I hinted at this at the beginning, but I didn't say so. The asking price for the Ronin is $385,000. Fisker is taking reservations now. If you pony up $2,000, you get to be in the first group of people, the first group of deliveries for them. If you pony up $1,000, then you're in the second group of deliveries. But we've seen a lot of automakers take deposits for things that haven't necessarily arrived. So it's just, the concept is interesting. That's my thing. Of an electric Mercedes SL is the kind of the way I think of it. So,
and it fits that brief great. It looks nice. It's probably going to be pretty comfortable. People I know who have been in the ocean say that it's a very well engineered vehicle overall. And so this is probably going to be similar in the shape of a four-door convertible, which is, I love that. I'm down with that.
Also, Group of FBC delivered and production are doing a lot of heavy lifting in the Faraday news.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But moving on from a vehicle that you and I I definitely can't afford. I don't know what your financials are like, but if I move to another country, I could almost certainly afford this once it comes out. And this is the most adorable car to debut today, and I will fight anyone that says otherwise. Unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure how to say it. I am going to call it the Rangga. I don't know if that's correct.
Let's roll with it.
It is spelled Rangga. Rangga, something like that. It debuted. It is from Toyota. It debuted at the Indonesia International Auto Show, and it is a concept for a compact pickup truck / van. And I say / because Toyota plans, there will be a production version of this vehicle eventually. Toyota doesn't say when, but they say there will be a production version. We have no mechanical specs about it. They gave no mechanical information. But what they did say is that they want to work with upfitters, specifically in Indonesia and also other parts of Southeast Asia, to kind of tailor this to whatever a customer needs. And so you can see from these photos, I didn't press the thing. So you can see it starts with a very, very basic pickup truck. It's a single cab. It's got a metal frame or metal cargo bed on it. Fine. Here's an ambulance version. But I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to show the two wildest ones. They show off a ice cream truck and also a drift truck, because why not?
It.
And it's interesting. And I will say that some of these are real. Some of those are pure renderings, but here are the versions that they brought to the Indonesia International Auto Show. They brought the mobile cafe, which I've actually seen video of. You can look it up. Look up Toyota Rangga, and it is a little coffee shop in the back of a truck. It's a little coffee shop. They brought an ambulance. They brought an EV mobile charging service, and they brought what they call the concept pace car, which I have not been able to find a photo of. So If anyone has that, please send it to me because I don't know what the concept pace car is yet. And they're also running a contest, I'm sorry, right now in Indonesia where they are giving you a template image and they are asking people to create what would you do with a Rangga? And the winner of that gets the equivalent of $6,500. And they said they might build that vehicle as well. They said might, so we don't know. But still, it's a neat contest, and it shows what the point of this vehicle is. It could be a pickup truck. It could be a little van. It's a work vehicle. It's a commercial vehicle that's going to go around and do work, but it's friggin' adorable.
I love it. I think it's so cool. I love like any of these like basic utilitarian vehicles that would never work well in the United States, but I love them so much. This like just throws very similar energy to me as like the Suzuki Jimny or something like that. Like just simple, basic, and it looks pretty. I can't quite tell the scale if it's like a kind of a subcompact truck, or if it's if it's more of like a maybe like slightly smaller than the Helix. I can't quite tell the scale of it, but I love it anyway, whatever it is.
Well, let's answer that because there's a really good, well, not a really good, but there's a video online where a guy walks around the mobile cafe version. I will mute the audio so we don't have any issues. So if you could vamp for me for just a second while I'm pulling this up,
I would love
you will
to
actually get to see the
you.
proportions of it.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I think that this kind of a vehicle is really necessary to places where like entrepreneurial places where, everyone has a job to do. Everyone's got something going on. And this is just, it looks like it's going to be the perfect, like relatively inexpensive vehicle for, for folks in Indonesia and other parts of Southeast Asia. Like, I think it's great. And I'd like to see a van version.
Here is a tour of the mobile cafe version. I've muted the audio so we won't have any copyright issues or anything like that. But you can see mobile cafe, Rangga concept. And, it looks smaller than a Hilux to me, know.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's interesting, though, that the point of this is to be super adaptable. Like, you need a pickup truck? We'll make you a pickup truck. Or no, the upfitters will sell you a pickup truck. Do you need a little van to carry an espresso maker and a little TV and some snacks? Great, you can have that too. Do you need an ambulance? Like, we can do that. It's really cool to see a little adaptable vehicle like this. And clearly it's going to be very affordable. This is not something that's trying to like sell to some luxury customer or anything like that. This is a work vehicle that just happens to look really cute.
I love it. More of that. More design in like commodity oriented cars. I think it's great when something like that just looks so happy and friendly. And it doesn't need to. It just needs to be a box on wheels. But they took a little bit of time to make it a little bit silly, and I love that.
And we got to call out here, Group of FBC, Rangga is Australian term for redheads. So there's your Aussie lingo lesson of the day. So thank you for that. So now I need to see a Rangga in red.
Yeah, for sure. There it is.
And then he also says, totally agree, an honest, affordable, unpretentious vehicle. That's exactly what it is. It's, if you're in Indonesia, I assume they would sell this throughout Southeast Asia. I doubt it would be an Indonesian only model because Toyota wouldn't do that. But, if you needed a little truck, it could be a little truck. If you need a little ice cream truck, it could be that too. So just a really cool little thing. And it's something that's worth showing off because it's not something that I feel like, not to say our competitors wouldn't cover, but it's not something that's in the mainstream, but it's still something that's really cool,
Well, and I kind of I kind of wonder if, because there's some scuttlebutt that maybe Toyota is going to come out with a compact, like unibody pickup truck for the United States market. And, this kind of throws, like, it's got some of that slightly retro Toyota energy going on. And I wonder if they might kind of pursue that with the American market, small pickup, kind of like give it like almost Toyota Stout vibes, kind of that old 60s compact truck before the Helix or the Hilux. And so I think that'd be really cool to see, Toyota adopt some of these design cues for, that rumored small truck for the US. Just make it fun.
Yeah, So, funnily enough, I had to run to the grocery store today, and I saw a elderly woman, clearly an elderly woman, driving a first gen Scion XB, and I I love it. It's kind of a version of that where those
Yeah,
are
totally.
they're stylish, but they are very unpretentious. Like no
Yeah.
one's like, you know, no one's feeling like too big in their britches when they're driving a Scion XB, but yet they work, and it's especially good for. I remember this. I want to say when they came out, they actually did end up appealing a lot to kind
Yeah.
of older people because
Yeah.
they were incredibly easy to get in and out of. It was
Right.
like, you know,
It's actually, now that you mentioned that, that's kind of what this little, when it's in truck form, that's kind of what this little thing reminds me of. Is you could get a truck conversion kit for your first generation Scion XB, and that vehicle right there is what that reminds me of. Now that you mention it, so same cut from the same cloth. I love it.
well, very good. Now for something very completely different. We're back in the land of expensive cars again, and that is that Aston Martin debuted the DB12 Volante. It's sexy as hell. Our coworker Adrian, he called it the latest Volante model from Aston Martin largely inherits the achingly beautiful design of its coupe sibling and throws in unlimited headroom after removing the fixed metal top. I love you, Adrian. I love you,
that's
buddy.
great.
That's good. So yeah, like the new Mercedes-Benz SL, it has a fabric top. In this case, it is 8 layers of material with insulation between them, and you can get that top in, I believe it's 5 different colors. You can get black, red, blue, and then a black silver combination, depending on what you want. And I got to agree, achingly beautiful is a good way to describe the way this vehicle looks to me.
Yeah, it's a stunner. I'm so jealous of our other coworker, Jeff Perez, got to drive the coupe in France a couple of months ago, and I'm so jealous of him for that. But now I can maybe parlay that into getting on this convertible drive instead, because this is absolutely my cup of tea. This is a stunning, stunning car. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just so pretty. It's automotive design is so. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, because it's so beautiful, we don't need to have a conversation about the engine or the powertrain or anything like that.
Well, it just comes from the DB12. Like, yeah.
Right. And I just don't care though. Like, I don't even need to have one conversation about the fact that it's got a twin turbo 4-liter V8. Like, I want to look at the thing some more. It's incredible.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about automotive design though?
No, it's kind of what we've seen throughout this, where you get the incredibly sharp design of the Aurora, or you get, even if you think about it, the Fisker Ronin kind of goes back to that very smooth design language that Heinrich Fisker has really always liked. But then there's just something that's sometimes you just get it right. It's just about proportions, and there's something you can't quite put your finger on, but it's just perfect. And that's kind of what this vehicle is to me, in my opinion, especially with the roof down. Like, it's hard to imagine, enjoying a topless drive in a vehicle other than this. When you look at these photos, like, you almost, for me, you look at the photos and you imagine yourself in the car and driving down your favorite road.
Yeah.
And, maybe have a partner by your side or something. It's just so good.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think this is kind of one of those that just inspires some emotional response. Our friend group FBC says, "Oh Lordy, be still my beating heart." That is just utterly gorgeous. That is very much my experience looking at this car too. It's a stunner, and I cannot get enough of it. My favorite angle is the direct side profile, because you can kind of see this like really, really beautiful invisible line between the windshield header and the tonneau cover behind the there it is. Yeah, or
it does it. Oh yeah, you're right.
There's a lower side profile of it.
Next
photo over. Yeah. You see this, like, kind of like rising up from the trunk, toward the top of the windshield header, there's just this like really beautiful, like you can see the fastback proportions, even though it's a convertible. And I just I can't get enough. I think it's a stunner. It looks like a those old Jaguar Roadster show cars that they did, like the F-Type concept and the XK. What was it? I can't, not the 120, but there was a Jaguar Roadster.
I know the one you're talking about. I can't think of its name, but yeah.
And this is kind of what it reminds me of, just like pure like show car, gorgeous, incredible. I love it.
Yeah, and so this will be debuting at the Quail, a motorsports gathering. It bothers me they put that in commas. It's like it drives my my writer brain up a cliff. But anyway, so we will be having people attending that event, folks from Motor One. So I really hope to get some real world photos of this, because there's kind of this interesting the spectrum almost, where there's the official automaker shots and they make a car look one way, and then there is kind of not amateur. I would never call Jeff or Seth amateurs in terms of photography, but the real world photos where it's a camera, but it's the light, whatever light's hitting it. It's not staged in any way. And then they're seeing the vehicle in the actual real world and understanding the proportions and things like that. So I want them, even if they only just put it in our chat and it's not for a story, I want to see what this thing looks like just under natural light.
Incredible.
But yeah, it's good. Yeah, I mean, real quick, for anyone unfamiliar, I will give the tech specs and stuff like that just because I feel like we should. But I agree with you. If this thing made 100 horsepower and looked like this, I think I'd be fine with it.
Yeah,
totally. I don't think you'd get any argument out of me. But you're right.
Yeah.
Twin turbo, 4-liter V8. It makes 671 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. It'll hit 62 in 3.7 seconds. Top speeds 202 miles per hour. The roof folds in 16 seconds at speeds up to 31 miles per hour. But do you care? Like,
nope.
If it's this pretty, like, again, if it had,
I don't want to.
200.
I want people to see me. I don't want to go too fast. I want people to see me as I drive down the road. I want to go 22 miles an hour, and I want everyone looking at me when I drive that car.
Yep, I agree. But moving on. If anyone looked at the post on Motor One, we had some stories that we definitely wanted to hit. So we covered those cars, but we also had some stuff that we liked, but it just didn't quite reach that level of putting it in the headline of the post. And that's what these next several vehicles are going to be. And one of them, and we were just talking about a very interesting roadster and a very attractive roadster. And let's talk about another one. And that is the Mercedes AMG SL63 Big Sur Edition. That is also going to be debuting during Monterey. And if anyone out there, foreign listeners aren't familiar, Big Sur is a mountain in California. And so this takes inspiration from California, and it wears this really attractive color of orange across the body. And I just realized I shared the post and not the gallery. So hold on, folks. Brett, tell the people what you think while I'm pulling the gallery up.
I love it. I think it looks great. I just pulled my earphones out. That's how excited I am about it. I think it looks great. One person in the story on our website commented that very shrewdly commented that Acura was doing this color in the early 2000s on like the CL Type S, which I think is really funny. And he's not totally wrong. It's definitely what it looks like. But I think it's cool. I like the Mercedes Manufacturer program. I think it's like cool that they'll do any color you like. They'll create custom bespoke options for people, and they offer like a variety of special colors on like all of their products. So I think that's cool that they're kind of doing that. I don't actually know. Are you aware? Is this going to be like a one-off like special project for someone, or are they going to add the Big Sur colorway to like are they going to make it like a color option, an extra cost option? Are you aware?
So they didn't say. That's okay. Something we need to reach out to. Mercedes did not say when the Big Sur edition would be available, nor how many they plan to produce. I get the impression it will be a small run, just from what I've seen about it and reading our colleague Anthony's story about it, that there will be a small run. I don't think this is purely a one-off, but I could be wrong. I'll admit that. I will say, so the color is Manufacture Orange Flame Metallic. Just a really eye-catching, pretty color. And then inside, it has a color combo of Mystic Red and Black Napa Leather. And again, just a pretty color combination of, the SL is, it's almost like reading the answer off a test of what is the most famous Grand Touring convertible. Like, oh, Mercedes-Benz SL. That's what, that's what you do. And, kind of sort of for good reason. Not to say that there aren't interesting alternatives. I would definitely take the Aston Martin we were just talking about over this personally, but I just like that more. Or the Fisker is also, like we were saying, an interesting potential alternative to this. But Mercedes isn't giving up either. They've, this is a segment they've been in for decades and decades and decades, and they're going to keep doing SLs, and they're going to keep making special SLs, and so it's cool to highlight one of them.
Well, and I appreciate too that that the SL is a little bit sportier now than it has been in a long time. There you go.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I will read the group of FBC. I mean, the SL is nice, but then there's the DB12 Volante. He's not wrong. And I just said the same thing. I would take the DB12 over this, but it's worth pointing out when, Mercedes does a special SL.
Well, and it is funny that we're talking about those two cars specifically because they share the same, twin turbocharged V8 powertrain. Aston Martin gets their engines from Mercedes AMG now. So one thing I really like about this though is that, not this car specifically, but the AMG in general, or the SL in general, is way sportier than it has been in years. Like they're going down an overt, it's like smaller, it's more compact. Even though it has 4 seats now, it used to only have 2. Even though it has 4 seats, like it's still kind of a more overtly like sporting machine, which I really like. I just appreciate that they're kind of leaning into the original SL. In terms of history, rather than kind of like going down this like luxury Grand Tourer route that they've been on for decades. So to say nothing of Aston Martin and how they've been doing sporty 4-seat convertibles for much longer, I still appreciate that Mercedes is getting back in on the game.
Yeah, very cool.
It's a looker.
Next up, they're both looker. Yeah, I would take the if you lined them up next to me and handed me the keys, the Aston Martin is the one I would drive.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Blizzard 071, are you a new commenter? I don't think I've seen Blizzard 0711 before, but thank you for commenting. We always love new commenters. Like the color on the Vision C11, and if you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, very much.
Let's move on. And so we also got the latest teaser of the Lamborghini. We don't have a name for it yet. We're calling it the Lamborghini concept. There's a lot we think we know about this car, but there's very little. Lamborghini is not saying anything official. They have confirmed that they are going to debut a fully electric concept car sometime this week. They have not said, though, in any of the teasers of this vehicle that this is the fully electric car that they're debuting. But putting 2 and 2 together, we're pretty sure that this is the concept for their first fully electric model. The image I have pulled up here is the one image of the car from the video they put out. They put out a 15-second video that's really high on dramatics and really low on actually showing the car. You see the car for about the last 2 to 3 seconds, and the rest of it is a cityscape, and then it's a lady flying through space, and then it's a thing falling towards Earth, and then it's the car. So
very high drama, perfectly appropriate for Lamborghini.
But still, it's a vehicle I'm really looking forward to seeing. So it's going to debut August 18th during Monterey Car Week. The timing suggests it might be at the Quail, but they haven't confirmed that yet. But I think the general timing suggests that. And again, we're going to have folks there. So whenever it debuts, we'll definitely be getting a good look at it.
Well, there's kind of some.
Go ahead.
You were just about to say what I was going to say. Lay it on me.
Well, I was going to say there are rumors that it's going to revive the 2+2 Grand Tourer look for Lamborghini, which has been gone since the late 1970s. The Espada was the last car to do that, and this might bring it back.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Is that what you were going to say? Okay.
Yeah, there were some early rumors that their first. Again, we don't know that they're debuting this car as an EV. We don't know 100%. We know that there's an EV coming at some point in time, sometime this week. We know that this car is debuting this week. Beyond that, we don't actually have a link between the two. But there was some rumors that Lamborghini's first EV was going to be like a high-riding, crossover coupe kind of thing, like a two-door Urus almost. But I was actually hanging out with some of the Lamborghini folks a couple of months ago, and they clarified that and said that their first EV was going to be a 2+2 GT car, because that's what's missing in their lineup. They said, we have an SUV, we have two super sports cars. What we're missing is a 2+2 Grand Tourer. And he very clearly drew a distinction between SUV and Grand Tourer. So I think it's pretty exciting that they're going to be doing this as like a comfortable car. It's not going to be a crossover, but they're going to do like kind of a cool, comfortable GT car. I'm excited to see it.
Right. Specifically, CEO Stefan Winkelmann said it would be more usable daily. Where's his words? It'd be more usable daily than whatever the Huracan successor is going to be and the Revoluto, which that would make sense. That a 2+2 where, hey, you're the really rich person who occasionally wants to throw a kid in the back, or fold the seats down and very occasionally wants to have extra luggage for going on a trip. That all would satisfy the qualities of being more usable than either of those two vehicles.
Yeah, for sure.
Group of FBC says, I'm hoping the Lambo is similar to the S-Stock concept from a few years back. Same here.
That was such a pretty car. That was like the Murcielago styling cues on a four-door sedan. I would love to see something like that.
Yeah. I know. So, Motor One, we are on all of the social medias. We are on your Facebook, Twitter, etc. But on Threads, a former guest, John Fry, who is a fantastic artist, he commented when we showed the previous teaser, saying that it looks like a revived Lamborghini Espada, and I don't think he's wrong. And for anyone out, the Lamborghini Espada was the last 2+2 vehicle that they did, and it is just a gorgeous car. I should just pull up a photo of an Espada real quick while we're talking about it.
There's always time for an Espada break. That was a really special car for sure. That was a very interesting and attractive vehicle. So I would love to see that one make a return.
So for anyone unfamiliar, here is what an Espada looks like. Just long, sexy. Oh, I grabbed a really small image. I apologize, folks. Let me zoom in as best as I can. I apologize. That I was trying to go fast rather than good, and that's what you got. But still, you can see rear seats in the back, really kind of large greenhouse, but still, it does have a trunk. And then in front, just a massive V12, which this won't have. We're 99.9% certain it's going to be an EV. But those kind of aesthetics, like you were saying, it's something that Lamborghini doesn't currently have. Yeah. And, why not enter that sphere when, there are competitors there that they could go up against?
Absolutely. I mean, if it is indeed an EV, it would go right up against the Rolls-Royce Spectre and give people a sportier, electrified four-seater, which would be really cool to see. Again, we're giving super rich people more money, more things to spend their money on, which is great.
That's while I'm pulling this image up, that's a topic Smith and I have considered discussing, of kind of how depressing things get at the very top of the market, because there's all sorts of stuff that you want and you have to be obscenely rich in order to have. But here's another. I'm going to put that depressing topic to a side, and here is another beautiful Espada in a much higher resolution image, and you can see, why wouldn't you as Lamborghini want to revive this type of look? Again, it's not like it's the only Lamborghini they're going to have on sale. They've got their baby supercar, they've got their bigger supercar, they've got a crossover. Why not at that point do something along these lines, especially when the brand has a history of doing it? This isn't the only one. This is just the last one, but there were other 2+2 Lamborghinis in the company's life.
Bring it on.
Yep. Hold on. Do we have any comments? Okay. No. So yeah, we're getting close to finishing up, and that's this is something that Smith and I talked about last week. And it actually debuted. So if we had time, I wanted to cover it. And we do have time. So we will cover
Let's do it.
And so that is the Bugatti Chiron. Is that right? Smith and I had this conversation yesterday.
Chiron.
Okay.
Chiron.
Like my Sharona. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
my Chiron. So this is their golden era model. And it's I'm on the fence as to whether or not I like it or not, if I'm being totally honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is called the Golden Era because it has this gold rear portion of the body, and also along the body, it has sketches of previous Bugattis, including the Veyron, the Chiron, and then also classic examples. And I don't know.
This was a what's the name of their program? It's called Sur Mesure.
Sur Mesure, I believe.
Yeah. So this was created for a specific customer. This, they're only going to do this one. One thing that I really like about it, from whether you like the way that it looks or not, the one thing that I really like about it philosophically is that it has that market, like all those sketches were actually hand drawn onto the finished paintwork using the same pens that designers use to like sketch cars on paper. So I just really appreciate that there's kind of that like closed loop of design going on there. And I think that's kind of cool, from just like pure philosophical perspective. I kind of also maybe it looks maybe a little, I feel like you're going to have to explain it to a lot of people that like, no, your car didn't get vandalized. You paid their designers to sketch on it for you. And, that's like maybe a bummer, but, like just from a sheer, like I said, philosophical standpoint, I do think it's kind of cool.
I agree entirely with what you just said. From a philosophical standpoint, I think it's really cool. From an actual aesthetic standpoint, I don't know if I love it.
Well, one thing I do love is the interior a lot. I love the look of the you see those heritage models appearing sketched on the door panels as well.
Yep.
There's like on the driver's side, there's the supercar. So you see EB110 and blanking EB110, Veyron, and Chiron, and then on the passenger side you see the Atlantique, the
after that you lost Racer.
Me. Like it's cool to see all of these like retro cues on this car. I really like the interior a lot. It gets full marks from me.
I think that's fair. I think the interior is better than the exterior. The exterior, it just leaves me it leaves me kind of cold in a certain way, and it shouldn't, because automotive design, I think, is one of the most fascinating aspects of the automotive industry. Like, I mean, we've had many discussions about that on this show, but this one, for some reason, it just leaves me a little bit cold. So, but I wanted to say, hey, we teased this last week, and then since last week it debuted, so we should at least say what it is. Group FBC says the images of the cars on the side are, to be blunt, crass, but hey, money's gonna money.
Money's gonna money.
Yeah, okay. The dates on the door sills highlight the brand failed multiple times.
Yep.
Also true. Also,
Yeah, you know.
also technically true. And then, so the other thing that their Bugatti is going to have at Monterey is they built a matching Mistral to go with this car.
Yeah.
So let me pull that up real quick. And it does not have the drawings on it, but it is the exact same shade of gold. So it, just kind of matching together.
Yeah.
Again, so I'm fairly certain this is not a customer vehicle because Mistral production does not begin until 2024. So I believe, this is just kind of a one-off that they're going to be showing during Monterey Car Week. And although, if some rich guy walks up to the walks up to the base and writes down a check and says, "I'll take it," they're going to give it to him. But I don't think that this is actually one of the production vehicles. But it's, it's interesting. It's an interesting way to kind of celebrate both. They're both going to be at the Quail, a motorsports gathering together, presumably side by side. Two matching, really super expensive Bugattis. What can you say? So I should say a standard Mistral, not without these touches, is $5.5 million. So I can't imagine what the gold paint adds to that. But yeah.
Oh man. I just at that point just make it free. Just throw it in for free.
Exactly.
You paying $5.5 million. Let the color be included in that price. I love the Mistral though. I think that it's such an appealing car. It was really cool. I was at the Quail last year, and I don't get to go. I'm not going to be there this year, unfortunately. But I was there when they pulled the sheets off, and it just. We've established I'm a sucker for an open roof car, and I really liked that the Mistral exists. Even if I'll probably never get within 6 feet of one, I think that they're really really pretty cars.
So those are all the cars we were going to talk about. What you just said though, it prompted me a question for you, and so if you got a minute, let's go through that. What was your favorite event during Monterey Car Week last year? Because there's a ton. There's Laguna Seca with the Motorsports Reunion. There's obviously there's the Quail. Yeah. There's Pebble Beach Concourse, and then there's kind of the secret events that people don't really talk about. There's there's Dawn Patrol as all of the cars come in. There is, I think it's usually on Thursdays where they take a lap around PCH and then come into Caramel by the Sea. Like there's some cool stuff going on there. What was the highlight of the show for you?
Dawn Patrol for sure. I was on the fence as to whether or not I was going to go. It's such a privilege
tell the folks,
to go.
What time do you have to be there?
That's exactly the thing. You have to be there literally before sunrise. So we got there at 5:45, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And
we're just posted up. We were early for sure. We probably could have slept in another 15 minutes or so, but we got there at 5:45.
15 minutes. That's a strong sleep.
I was just gonna say it's such a privilege to go to Pebble Beach, Monterey Car Week. Like it's such a great experience. But with it comes, on the media side comes a lot of like responsibility and like you have to be, at certain events and stuff like that. And so I was at an event until like 1 a.m. the previous night. And so it was kind of like,
that was my experience.
Do I dare get 3 hours of sleep and then try and, do Dawn Patrol? And I'm glad that I did. It was such a cool seeing cars posted up on a lawn and like all lined up and beautiful and shining and gleaming is great. I'm not going to like besmirch that one bit. But it was so cool seeing these cars that were going to be on display at the Concours d'Elegance driving under their own power onto the lawn. Like one of the conditions of displaying your car there is that it has to drive onto the lawn under its own power. And so it was really cool seeing cars come up. We happened to be at a spot that like 3 or 4 cars ended up breaking down. We were kind of on like a very gentle like uphill, and like there were some spots where like the cars would stall or whatever. And it was so cool seeing like the mechanics and the drivers jump out and like start tinkering on the car and get it fired back up and drive back on the lawn. I don't think any car ended up getting disqualified. They all ended up making it. So that was really cool. And then just in general, the Concours d'Elegance was really cool. My favorite car in the history of the universe is a Talbot Lago T150 teardrop, and
Okay.
I was talking about it. I think it was 1937 is the year that I was standing next to one, and I was talking about it, and I mispronounced I said Talbot Lago, and the owner happened to be right there, and he said, no, Talbot Lago. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I love your car. Congratulations. Good luck to you. And I filmed something for social media on the Motor One social media. And after we were done, he said, would you like to sit in it? And I was like, yeah, I really would. And so I got to sit in this beautiful multi-million-dollar car that ended up getting, I think it got second. It got best in class and second place for best in show. And it was just like a stunner. And so forever and ever, amen. That car and that experience will always have like a very soft place in my heart.
I can't fight. It's one of the things that makes you feel privileged to be in the media when you go to that, because I've never been there just as someone just attending the event. I've been there once as the media, but it's like this all access pass to everything you've ever wanted to see. And then you also end up seeing like car celebrities, like not like, sure, there are probably like real celebrities there, but I don't care about them. But like you see like, so when I was there, and I only thought about this because I think he passed this year or last year, but like Alain de Cadenet, who did all this stuff on Speed Vision when I was a kid. And I was sitting in a room with him and like eating lunch, and he was over sitting at a table alone. And I still kick myself for not just like going over and just being like, hey, the stuff you did on Speed Vision was fantastic back in the day. And just like that being it. And, it's a really, from a media perspective, it's a really interesting event to cover.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You nailed it right on the head. It's such a cool experience. I would love to be going. I'd love to go back next year. I hope we can make a what's the word? Make a reunion happen or something like that next year. It's a good time.
Yeah. Yep. But I think that's going to be our show for tonight. I know we're a little bit shorter than normal, but sometimes you're longer, sometimes you're shorter. There's nothing wrong with that. Brett, do you have any social media stuff you want to promote? Do you have any stories that you're super proud of that you want to promote? Do you have any? Sure. Do you want to show your dog again? Like just whatever you want to do, go for it.
Dog has made her way to the other room, so I'll let her chill. It's 100 degrees still at 5:30 p.m. So she is a very tired girl. Anyway, tomorrow I'm really excited because we've got a video going live on the Motor One YouTube channel and the Motor One website. It's a Volvo S60 Recharge, the plug-in hybrid. So not the most exciting vehicle in the world, but excited for that one to finally go live. And then just be sure to keep up on Motor One socials. Motor1.com on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Motor1.com on Instagram, YouTube, and Threads, and then Motor One on TikTok. Just keep up with us this weekend because I know Jeff Perez, who's a social media expert extraordinaire, is going to be doing a lot of live video from Monterey Car Week, from the Quail, Monterey Motorsports Reunion, and the Concours d'Elegance, as well as some debuts of some pretty cool automobiles it's going to be happening this weekend. So just be sure to keep up with those. It's going to be a fun week to be a car fan.
Oh, totally. Monterey Car Week. It's still like, I know it's a lot of rich people there, but like if you're a car nerd, there's still something to enjoy. So it's like this weird dichotomy of like there's these really rich folks that are there and are like really proud of their cars, but then you can be like me and walking through stuff and be like, oh, that's so cool because understanding the history and understanding why it's special and understanding provenance and stuff. It's a really cool event. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Tune in. Those guys will be arriving in Monterey tomorrow, and then you'll see kind of their content all throughout the weekend. So definitely keep an eye on our socials, Threads, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Because there will definitely be stuff there. But yeah, I think with that, we're going to call it an evening. Brett, thank you so much for giving me your time tonight. Smith will be back next week, and we will definitely be talking about wherever he went because, like I said, I do not know where he went. All I know is he rented a car and went somewhere. So it'll be fun to find out where his automotive adventures took him. But yeah, thank you so much. And for all of our listeners, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. We appreciate all of you. We understand that there are 1,000,001 things you could be doing with your time, but instead you dedicate this time to us, whether you're watching us live or whether you're listening to us in the car after the fact. It's all still wonderful. So thank you and good night and bye-bye.
Great show. Have a good one.